All right, Psalm 91, let's call this one Faithful to What? In this psalm, where the psalmist is going to seem to describe the value he's found in God's protection and his refuge. But the psalm is going to go on to talk about the reason why God protects this psalmist as he begins in verse 1 to say, "He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty," a relatively famous passage, as he will go on to say in verses 2 through 8, God has been his refuge, his fortress, the God in whom he trusts, a phrase familiar or similar to what we might see printed on our currency. However, the psalmist is going to go on to say he will, meaning God will deliver, cover, and again provide him refuge. But what does that actually look like? He's going to say that for him, it looks like this: "You will not fear the terror by night, or the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in darkness, nor the destruction that wastes at noonday." Another famous portion of the passage is going to say that 1,000 might fall at your side, 10,000 may fall at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only look on at the recompense of the wicked, because you made the Lord your dwelling. No evil nor plague will befall you. Another famous portion of the passage is then going to go on to say, "For he will have his angels bear you up, lest you dash your foot against the stone." A portion of the word the enemy is actually going to try to use against the Christ during his temptation, 40 days in the wilderness. However, this passage is going to go on to say in verses 14 through 16, "Because you hold fast to me in love, I will deliver, protect, answer, and be with you," or be with him. Talking about the one being protected by God in this psalm. He will rescue, honor, and satisfy him with long life, and ultimately show him the salvation of God. Verse 14, quite possibly catching my attention more than any other in this chapter, where it reads, "Because he holds fast to me in love, I will deliver him," reminding me of the distinction that we seem to see in the throne, or between the two lines of the kings of Israel. Not even the physical lines between Judah and the northern 10 tribes of Israel, but the spiritual distinction we seem to see between those kings who clung to God in love and those kings who seem to cling to his throne in love, quite possibly seen most clearly in that old comparison between Saul and David. Saul being a king who didn't even want to be king, but once he got a taste of the power or the authority that the throne gave him, and the power that the Holy Spirit gave him through what seemed to be new skills, courage, and abilities, he didn't want to let it go. And so even though he left God in the rearview mirror, he jealously defended the power of the throne and the new skills he had acquired in his relationship with God. David, however, seemed to see beyond both the talent he had as God's anointed and the authority that he would have as God's anointed king, to see that, wait a minute, no matter how much skill and authority I might have, there is still a void between what I've got and what I've got to do. Similar to what we seem to see Moses notice in the last chapter, where he asked God to teach us to number our days, acknowledging that no matter how much time we have, there seems to be this lingering void between the time we've got and the things we've got to do. Thus the wisdom in trusting God, the one who can fill that void. And so much like Moses asked him to fill the void between the time we've got and the things we've got to accomplish, in this psalm, God seems to say, because you clung to me in love and not simply the power that I've given you, I'm going to protect you in ways your power simply can't.